Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elevating Your Life. Paula Vail here, owner of Wellness Inspired. I am just so happy again to share with you another amazing guest. Oh my gosh, what a gift to just interact and learn from so many amazing people. I'm so grateful for everyone. And I'm excited to share with you today. We have Carmen Turner-Schott. She is a practicing licensed clinical social worker, astrologer, writer, and teacher with a national and international clientele. She has been working as an astrological counselor with victims of trauma for over 25 years. She is the author of The Mysteries of the 12th Astrological House, Fallen Angels, and also Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing. She completed her Master of Social Work degree at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. First off, welcome, Carmen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be great. So fun. I know you have so much great stuff to share with us. Well, would you like to share a little more of your background and maybe what triggered you to write these two fantastic books? Tell us a little more.
So how I really got into astrology, I was 16 and I always believed in angels and I was always, born spiritual. I always felt like I was different from other people. And that I didn't really belong here, right? I had these things I couldn't explain, these interests, these just kind of born different than my family and everyone around me. So I started really researching dreams and all of those things at a young age. But one night in high school, I saw a glowing ball of light in my doorway. And I never seen anything like that before. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream for my mother. I laid there and watched it for hours. And I finally, after hours of watching this, it was like a yellow orb, translucent, watery thing hanging there. I finally yelled, "Mom," and she looked and she saw it too. So for the first time, my mother saw something unexplained and that I had seen. And that was a wonderful validation. So after that, I started researching angels and religion and all of these different things, the pyramids. And I got my first astrology book and I read about my sun sign Virgo and that I had the sun in the 12th house. And that validated why I was the way I was and my personality. So I wanted to know more. And after that, I went into psychology and became a counselor, a clinical social worker. And I use astrology as a basic tool of self-awareness to help others understand themselves better and understand myself better. And so I love it. It's just been a passion of mine ever since I was 16. And I started doing charts for free, just to practice with people at school when I was in graduate school. And when I was 19, I kind of started my side hobby of doing charts for people and teaching astrology. And I've been doing it ever since. I'm going to be 47 years old at the end of the month. And so I've been doing it a long time.
I love it. I love it. And I love you mentioning angels. I so love the angels. And I'm actually writing a book called Angel Love. And I am getting so many feathers. Oh my gosh. And the clouds are so fun.
Wonderful.
Oh, for the audience that isn't real familiar with astrology, tell us what exactly is a chart. What is that?
So the way you get a birth chart is if you imagine the day, time, place of your birth, when you're on the earth, if you're looking up at the sky from earth, all of the signs or the star constellations are in the sky, and those are the 12 signs, and all the planets are in a certain area of the sky, and they're in one of the star constellations, which there's 12. So there's 12 constellations and there's 12 signs and 12 houses, which are areas of the sky that astrologers, map out. And it's like taking a picture of the sky and putting it on a piece of paper. And that is your birth chart. And to get an accurate birth chart, a natal chart, You need to know your date and month of birth and year, which everyone knows their sun sign. So, for instance, I'm born when the sun was in Virgo. There's certain dates that you can know what your sun sign is. The sun stays in each of those signs about a month, right? So, as you're a Taurus, the sun was in Taurus when you were born, okay? But there's so much more to your chart than just your sun sign. You have the moon, which changes signs every 2 to 3 days. So you really need to know your time of birth, your exact time of birth, to really be the most accurate, to know your whole deeper personality, because the moon is your emotional nature. The sun is just your main identity. So you really need to know where all those planets are, in what house and what area of life, and to really get an accurate personality profile. And it's just amazing. It's energy, and it looks like a wheel. It's a wheel with 12 houses, and they'll be labeled 1 through 12. And you'll see these symbols. Astrology is a symbolic language. So you can get a little cheat sheet and know, okay, these are the symbols of these signs. These are the planet symbols. And oh, that's in the first house. My sun is in the 12th house. And you can really start getting a basic understanding of where everything's at in your chart. And I always tell people to go on astro.com, or there's other free sites. You can get a free birth chart wheel and a printout, and you can see the wheel that I'm talking about, and you can see where all of the planets are. You really have to have an accurate time of birth, and of course, city, state, country, to do a full accurate chart. Some people ask me, Carmen, I don't know what time I'm born. I know my mother said it's between an hour and a half, between 9 and 10, maybe.
Mhm.
We can narrow down someone's chart, an astrologer can, based on your physical appearance, because the rising sign is the sign on the 12th house cusp in your wheel, and that sign's coming up on the horizon when you're born. So to know what a true chart is, you really have to know what is your rising sign, because if we can figure out your rising sign, we can get a very accurate birth chart for a person. Even if they don't have exact time, if they have a 2-hour window, we can really nail it down. I've helped people, because when I analyze it, if it doesn't feel right and validated, then we know we have the wrong chart. Because when I'm analyzing it, you should be saying, yes, that's me. If you're like, no, that doesn't feel like me, then we don't have an accurate chart, because everything about your chart, you will validate. You'll say, this is true. Oh, wow, that's me. And that's because it's a science, and it's energy. Everything is made up of energy, and we're a soul. We're not just a body. So that's why astrology impacts the world and our lives and our personalities. Just like the moon affects the tides of the ocean, the moon affects our emotional nature. When we see a full moon, I talk about it a lot in a practical way. You can see it in the world that people are more energetic, they're more irritable, they might feel more on edge. More people end up in the emergency room or having domestic disputes during a full moon, because people's emotions are intensified, because we're made up of water. Our body's made up of water. So it all is connected, and it does affect our personality and how we express ourselves and how we react. So getting an accurate birth chart is really important. And you can, contact any astrologer, but you can do it on your own and get a free chart on astro.com. And then start, get a basic book, like my sun signs book, Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing. I have a whole introduction in here about the basics of astrology, everything I'm telling you. What are the 12 signs? What are their personality traits? What are the planets? What are their energies? What are the 12 houses? What do they represent? And then putting it all together for you. And then I go into each sign of the zodiac, Aries through Pisces, and you can look up your sun sign, your family, your friends, and read about all about them, their personality, how they heal, what helps them become resilient, what helps them self-care, and get tips for your family and friends too, as well as your own self. And one of my greatest loves is, the 12th house. It's my favorite house in astrology, and it rules spirituality and intuition and creativity and oneness with God. It's a very spiritual house. And when you have planets in this house, you're going to be interested in all of these things: Reiki, energy work, astrology, tarot, all of these things. You're going to want to help people. You're going to be drawn to service. You're going to want to counsel and help other people heal. And that is why most people that are in these fields and that do the kind of work we do and write books and learn these things, they have something in the 12th house and the 8th house almost always. And the 12th house is ruled by the sign Pisces. So anyone that is a Pisces sun sign or has a lot of Pisces energy in their birth chart is going to resonate with my Mysteries of the 12th House book, because they rule that energy. It's part of their personality. And it's amazing. I've been doing research on 12th house people's charts for a long time, and they all share similar spiritual experiences.
Wow.
And it validates that, they're not alone. There's a reason they're here on earth, and it's to help other people and to become more spiritual and to focus on finding a spiritual path. That's what they're meant to do. Yeah. And so this book gives stories and examples of my own life, and then clients, and people that have shared their experiences with me. I include that in the book. And you can look up if you have planets in the 12th house, you can read about them in my book more in depth in each chapter. So I'm really excited about both books being out, and I'm here to answer any questions you guys have or want to hear. So
it is so fascinating, Carmen. It's so fascinating. And so we don't actually have to be a Pisces to have some of the planets.
That's right.
Of the 12th house in our personality, or what would you call that, in our personality or in our aura, or?
Yeah, because your sun sign is just your main identity. It's just one little part of your personality. Mm-hmm. And when you do, everyone knows what their sun sign is, right? Everyone knows. But what they don't know is what house it's in. And the houses matter more than the sign, because the houses show where that energy of Taurus, for you, for instance, is going to show into the world. It's going to be placed in one of those 12 houses on the wheel. Same with me. I'm a Virgo sun, but my sun is in the 12th house, which makes me very Pisces-like. So even though it's an earth sign, I have a lot of 12th house energy, and I have Venus there as well. The planet Venus is in Virgo, but it's in the 12th house. So we would analyze that house's energy and how it affects you. So, for instance, I know someone that has a stellium, which means there's 3 or more planets in one house. Okay. And it's in one sign. Say it's a stellium in Cancer, but it's in the 10th house. That person might feel more like a Capricorn, more practical, more like an earth sign than a water sign. So you have to put it all together. It's an in-depth, very deep personality tool. But once you start looking things up, you can really see that the houses are so important, because each house rules an area of life. Would you like me to talk about the 12 houses?
Yes, I would love it. This is just so fascinating. Oh my gosh, I have to learn more. This is great.
So when, like we talked about, when you're looking up at the sky, when you're born, everything is going to be in a certain area of the sky, certain constellation, and you put it on paper. So when you have your birth wheel, your natal chart wheel, the chart starts with the rising sign, which we call the ascendant. That is your mask, how people perceive you and judge you when they first meet you. So it's not always accurate, because if your rising sign is different than your sun sign, who you really are and your traits are not readily seen. People misjudge you. They'll judge you based on your rising. So for instance, you may be Leo rising. People see you as a Leo when they first meet you, but when they get to know you, you're really a Taurus. You have this other energy. So people are like, wow, you're nothing like I thought you were. Now, if the rising sign is the same as your sun sign, which it is for me, and it will be for most people born with the sun in the 12th house, because it's usually in the early morning time when the sun is in the 12th, or planets are there. But it could be right on the first house too, which is your physical appearance. So when we start the wheel, we go in order. So we start with the first house, which is the house of Aries. Aries, every sign rules one of the houses. So it's easy when you start realizing what the 12 signs are. Oh, okay, those personality traits is the traits of the house that the sign rules. It's the same kind of thing. So the first house is Aries, and it rules identity. It's, if you have planets there, it's where you feel independent. You want to be self-reliant. You're blunt, straightforward, energetic. You're, it's your physical appearance, how people see you, how you, if you're short, tall, right? All of that, how you express yourself out in the world is the first house. And the second house is the house of money and finance. It's your money house, and it shows, what kind of maybe challenges or blessings you have financially. Also security. It's all about comfort and security. Guess what sign rules it? Taurus. So all those Taurus traits are associated with the second house, having stability, having a plan, thinking of the future, being very practical, right? That's the second house. The third house is ruled by the sign Gemini. It's the house of communication. And Geminis are known to like to talk. They like to learn. They're very restless. They like to be on the go. And that is the third house. It's short journeys, movement, basic math, basic learning. It's what we learn in elementary school. And it's also the house of journalism, radio, publishing, all of those things, right? With communication. And if you have planets there, you're probably going to be drawn to teaching, writing, radio, all these type of things. And then the fourth house is the house of home and family. It's your childhood, it's your roots. It shows what kind of childhood you may have had, maybe some challenges, maybe some blessings. And it's also where you create your future home with your own spouse and family and children. And it's where you like to withdraw from the world and be in your house, because our home is where we feel safest. So the fourth house is very important to look and see what planets are there, because we like to have stability in our home life. And if we don't, that could be a challenge. And certain planets there can affect that, like Pluto. Pluto, it will cause a lot of change and a lot of unexpected changes in the home life. So sometimes when you see Pluto in someone's fourth house, for instance, they may lose a parent at a young age through death or illness. So there's things you can kind of see and validate your life when you know how to analyze each planet in each house, right? So, and when planets transit a house, those issues of the house also come up, and you're tested, and you'll go through different things, right? You may move when Pluto transits your fourth house, because you're home, it's your home. You may end up moving, getting a new job, traveling more and having to uproot, or you may completely rebuild your house and revamp it inside, right? That's Pluto energy. And so, that kind of thing. So the fifth house is the next house. It's the house of Leo. So what does Leo rule? Leos are all about self-expression. They're all about being creative and being in the limelight and having talents. And so the fifth house is your talents. It's love affairs. It's the house of pleasure. It's the house of fun. It's the house of children. Okay. And so fifth house planets it's a very light, happy energy, because it's ruled by the sign Leo. And then the sixth house is the house of health, diet, routine, structure, organization, pets. And guess who rules that? Virgo, because Virgos are very conscientious. There can be hypochondriacs, right? But they're into service. So it's about work. Virgos like to work. So the sixth house is your work environment, your co-workers, kind of, you can see your health issues. Anything with your health, we want to look at the sixth house to see what sign falls on that cusp on the wheel. And then if you have planets there. If you don't have planets in a house, it's okay. It's not bad, because it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means you don't have lessons there. It just means you don't have certain challenges in those areas and karma and different things you're there to learn. But when you don't have a planet in a house, what we do is we look at the sign that's on the cusp and we analyze that energy. So, for instance, if you have Pisces on the sixth house cusp, that could show that you're very sensitive to the environment. You could have allergies. You could have strange illnesses when you're younger, or the doctors can't really figure out what's wrong. And it's always important to get a second and third, fourth opinion on, right? To make sure that you're not being misdiagnosed, because Neptune rules Pisces, and Neptune is about illusion and not seeing things clearly. Okay. And Neptune also rules the 12th house. It's the planet of spirituality. It's the planet of creativity and imagination. It's the planet of suffering. It's the planet of where we like to escape. And so you might be very sensitive to other people's energy and be an empath. If you have Pisces on the 6th house, and you may get panic attacks, different things that are related to the mind body connection. Okay, if you're not balanced. Now, the 7th house is the house of marriage and partnership, relationships. So you can see, based on what sign is on your 7th house, which is opposite of your ascendant, your rising right across. The 7th house shows what kind of marriage partner is best for you, what kind of person is the best compatibility for you, and how you are when you're in a love relationship. It really shows that. And the 8th house is the house of death, transformation, rebirth, regeneration, healing. It's where we have wounds and we can heal. It's secrets, it's psychic abilities, mysticism, all these deep psychological therapy, detective work, finding out, research and solutions to very deep, complex problems. So 8th house people, it's ruled by Scorpio. So everything that's deep. And it also has to do with loss and sacrifice and losing loved ones through death, and also healing through losing loved ones, and inheritances. People inherit money, land, property, or spiritual gifts when you have planets in the 8th house. And I have a whole book about the 8th house out there too that I self-published on Amazon. If you're interested, if you have 8th house planets, I have one out there as well. And then the 9th house is the house of travel, religion, philosophy, foreign journeys, foreigners, and it's wonderful. The 10th house is the house of career. It's the house of the public eye, how people see you, how you are at work. Whatever sign is on the 10th house cusp, we call the midheaven. That sign shows what career is best for you, where your talents are, and what kind of career you're going to need. So if it's an earth sign, you're going to need a practical, stable job that pays money so you can feel safe and secure, right? If it's an air sign, you're probably going to want to be able to be innovative and intellectual and communicate and research and teach and study and talk to people and deal with groups. So we always look at the midheaven because that shows your career cusp. And if you have planets in the 10th, depending on what they are, for instance, the sun, when it's in the 10th, the people often go into the public eye. They're in politics. They're on radio, TV. They own their own business. They're politicians. They're actors, actresses, musicians, because they're out there and people know them and they shine in the career house, right? And the public eye. And then the 11th house is groups and friendship and acquaintances, and also humanitarian causes, helping people on a large level. And Aquarius rules the 11th. And then let me go back. Capricorn rules the 10th, okay? Because Capricorn's associated with career and work. And then the 9th house is Sagittarius. It's all about travel and learning and foreign cultures and broadening their mind and experiences. And then the final house is the 12th. It's ruled by Pisces. And I call people that have 12th house planets fallen angels, because it's the house of spirituality. It's the house of guardian angels. It's the house of intuitive abilities, unexplained mystical experiences. It's the house of the subconscious mind, the consciousness, dreams, dreaming, sleep, sacrifice, secrets, imagination. It's all these wonderful things. It's also the house of escapism and addiction. And that's because it's ruled by Neptune, and Pisces is associated with that area of life. That's how we come up with these things. So those are the 12 houses very quickly.
Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating. I want to know so much more. And my gosh, we've almost run out of time. The show goes by so fast. Carmen, yes. We have to do another show because I know you have so much to share. I do want to ask real quick. I'm just thinking how amazing this must be for you all these years, learning all of this and working with others. I just thank you, a big thank you, because I can imagine what that's been like and how that's helped others.
Thank you so much. I have some groups on Facebook, 12th house astrological group, an 8th house group. We have about 15,000 people from all over the world that have planets in these two houses, the 12th and 8th, and they're on there, and it's a support group. And we help each other. People post their charts, people share experiences, and we counsel, it's counsel each other and support each other. And I love doing that. And as a counselor in my normal job, I always try to bring basic astrology into work in my life. And people know that I believe in these things, but I love to teach this on a basic level and show what a powerful tool of self-awareness astrology is. It is not evil. It is not weird or crazy or scary. It's in the Bible. It goes back to ancient times. It's a whole nother radio show. We could talk about astrology.
Self-awareness. I love that description. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so spot on, Carmen.
Yes, and that's what it's about, learning more about yourself and others, and it helps you help other people, and it validates their life. And the chart shows that we each have our own special destiny and mission this lifetime. And that's your north node in your chart. And it looks like a little horseshoe. When you do your free chart, you want to look for that little horseshoe that's up with the top up, and then there's one with the top down. The north node is your soul mission this lifetime. Whatever house it's in, you need to analyze the house energies, and whatever sign. You're meant to become like that sign, and you're meant to serve others through that area of life. And that's why we're here, is to master the north node of our chart. That's the most important thing in your chart. Yes.
I need to do my chart. Please share with everyone your website, any information you want to give them, and what last message you want to say. And we are going to continue, everyone. We are going to have another show. Carmen has so much more to share with us. This is so great.
Thank you. So my website is www.12houses.com. I'm also on Facebook under Carmen Turner-Schott, writer, and I have a Facebook page called Deep Soul Divers Astrology. And you can also find my YouTube channel. It's my name, Carmen Turner-Schott. And please subscribe. I post videos once in a while. I have old videos on there, newer ones. Love to have you follow me. And I'm going to be launching a new website in September that's going to be my name, and it's carmenturnerschott.com. It's coming. It's not live yet. And so when you go to my old website, it'll direct you back to my new website, and I'm revamping it and making it better. So working on that. But I'd love for you guys to pick up the mysteries of the 12th astrological house fallen angels, because 12th house people often feel like they're not from this world, and they are from somewhere else. And it's kind of like the movie with Nicolas Cage, City of Angels, when he chooses to become human.
Yes.
That is how 12th house people feel, because they're angelic, they're compassionate, they're kind. They help everyone, but they have to learn to have strong boundaries to protect themselves, because they are different than most people, and they're special. They have special spiritual gifts, and they're here to use them. And then my other book is Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing. Would love for you to look at this if you want to learn basic astrology about your basic sun sign. It is a basic basic introduction book that everyone can read it and understand it. And I would love for you to follow me. My books are on Amazon.com, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble. But I love being here and teaching about this wonderful tool. And my last message is it's a quote from Edgar Cayce, but it's really about that astrology is fact, but there's no greater power over man than his own will. And that is one of my favorite quotes, because I do believe, I see how accurate and powerful astrology is as a tool of self-awareness and of counseling and helping people. But we have free will and choice. And once we know our chart, once we know maybe more of the challenges, more of the negative life experiences that we might have to go through, there's a reason, and it's to make us stronger and more resilient. And we can prevent things and change our behavior, our thoughts, our emotions, if we know our chart. And that's my message. That's my message.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this great show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I can't wait to chat again. Oh my gosh. Love, hugs, and blessings, everyone.